Hello and welcome to Friday Night Overwatch, back at it again on a Friday night with the crew. Everybody, Bullskunk, Billy, Corbec, Skate, excited to get this one kicked off. We got two Tier 3 Xbox North America games tonight, starting off with T3 Owls, actually coming to this game undefeated, a solid 4-0, and not just 4-0, 16-0 apps as well, so absolutely wiping the field right now, coming off a bye, I guess, in week 4. But still, the 3-0 wins early on, a great way to start the season. However, for Tardigrade, the other side here, 2-2 coming straight into it, straight even across the board, as well as 8 wins and 8 map losses. So really interested to see how these ones kick off. I'm your host, Salt and Pepper. Like I said, join Bullskunk, Billy, Corbec, Skate. Guys, it's been a hell of a week. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Excited to be here.
Doing it, yeah. We're here. It's good. Another exciting Friday Night Overwatch. I think we're all amped. We're all ready to go.
Yes, sir. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it should be a really good matchup. Again, obviously, Billy and Bullskunk, you guys are pretty familiar with the T3 Xbox North America scene with all the streams that you guys do. If you guys aren't aware, Bullskunk's channel has a ton of CGL Overwatch throughout the week, so make sure you guys are over there because he's got you covered. But I know you guys are maybe familiar with some of these teams in this tier and how this kind of tier's been going this season. What have you seen from these teams? What can you expect, especially with the bans this week?
T3 Owl, we call them the Owl. Their captain, Jaboy America, he is a really solid main tank. He really thrives in the double shield comp. I haven't seen him on a Reinhardt yet. I know that we saw him in the D9 Community Open over the summer, into the fall. So, he and his team, they've got a lot of moxie, but they're able to back up their smack talk in the scene with a 4-0 record. So, Fennec is also somebody to watch on the team, as his DPS is absolutely nuts. So I think those are two people that we need to look for them. As far as Tardigrade, what did you call them? The water bears?
That is
Moss piglets.
Yeah, moss piglets.
I haven't seen much of them. They're I guess the GE is going to stand for Galaxy Esports, so I guess they're under that umbrella. And if that's anything to go by, I mean, that's a pedigree org right there. So they're going to come into this match with something on their shoulder. I mean, coming in 500 on the season right now, I think that's what I think this is a proving point. This is going to be like that pivotal point of the season right now. It's either nut up or shut up, and it's time for them to show what they got. I think that they need to really show what they're made of here in week 5, as we have hit the halfway point of the season. It's time to start getting yourself ready for playoffs, getting the standings, getting your map points up there. So I'm looking for a good match. I mean, the T3 scene, as you mentioned before, we've really been covering that a lot because, it's one of the more populated tiers for us here in the CGL. So we get a lot of their games, and we've never had anything like a skunk wipe. It's really, I mean, we haven't had it. We haven't really had a wiping other than maybe Dignity and Behu. That one was pretty bad. That was an 0-4 wipe. But other than that, it's been really competitive throughout the entire season so far. So I'm looking forward to it. Bullskunk, I know that we get excited seeing Tier 3 come up on the screen because we always know it's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, highly competitive tier. And a lot of passionate players, a lot of really good orgs in there as well. I'm curious to see if Tardigrade can take a map off of Owl here. Owl have been absolutely flawless so far here in this season, and it's especially with Reinhardt being banned out. You're talking about not seeing him on Rhine. Well, we're not going to see him here on Rhine again today, as he is not available here in the week 5 hero pool, and I think that's going to favor Owl here. I think it's just going to play to their strengths. They're going to get to sit in bunker and play their game. We'll see if Tardigrade can break it open.
Yeah, bring up those bans. Week 5 hero bans coming into this. We've got Reinhardt and Bree, Widow and Brig. I think that's going to play a lot into how these team comps come out. Corbec, what do you see from these teams with these bans for this week?
Actually, Skate and I have scrimmed Tardigrade within the last 30 days. We scrimmed them on Wednesday night. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it was Wednesday night.
Yep.
For a team that had as low of an SR average as they did, they put up, or in comparison to a lot of other teams in the T3 tier, I should say, they put up a really good fight against us. Actually,
absolutely.
They had a very strong Ana player who was making, and the name escapes me, even though I hated them at the time. They were making a lot of good plays. Really,
that was
using
Small
the
Child.
anti-nade. Was it that small child 76 was the person who was playing. I don't know if they're going to have them in the game tonight, but they're making some big plays. And I think the thing that probably impressed me the most about the team in general as we were scrimming them was they demonstrated a really good sense of coordination, which is something that I wouldn't necessarily expect from all diamond tier teams, right? Like all tier 3 teams, but they were executing really well in terms of grabs, taking full advantage of the Orisa kit, doing a great job of focusing fire to win shield wars. They're quite good in that respect, and I think that the scoreline might be a little bit of an underestimate in terms of how effective they can be when push comes to shove. Even with the hero bans this week, you wouldn't have known that they were impacted by it at all, to be honest, when we played them.
No, and I was really impressed by their DPS. That seemed to cause us a lot of trouble. They have the supports that play right there with that tank line, but they have the DPS that are able to get that kind of pincer maneuver, you know, where they're getting crossfire and setting up on the angles, and they seem to have a very good sense of the map, where to be placed too. So I think it's definitely something to watch out for, and I think on both of these teams we're going to see a lot of Ana. I think these two teams favor the Ana, and we're in for some anti-nades.
I have a question. As far as DPS, did we see any of the new character? Did we see any Echo in there? Because, of course, this is the first week where we have Echo in the hero pools. And we've, in the game we've cast so far this week, seen mixed success with her. What do you guys think is going to be the impact of this new flying hero here in this meta?
So in our scrim with them, we didn't necessarily see an excessive use of Echo. I think they maybe used her once or twice, but with the changes that have come in on Ashe in particular, even on this week when they have no hit scans, no McCree, no Widowmaker, the ability to shut down the Echo actually still very much there from a very competent Ashe player. And I think the thing that I've seen most in terms of the kind of like this tier scrim level that I've been watching is that people will run the Echo up until the point at which they have to go into like the pocketed Ashe, and then the Echo becomes a little bit more irrelevant. Just in general, in terms of Echo, I think Echo is an infinitely annoying hero if used correctly. Very effective at applying backline pressure in a unique way that maybe like a Pharah is not necessarily, and with a less investment of resources, because I do not think that Echo needs that guaranteed pocket mercy at all times like a Pharah really does to be effective in this day and age. Frankly, I hate her. I mean, in the sense that I hate playing against her. I think she's a cool hero and she has cool abilities, but man, she can, if in the hands of somebody who's capable, she is really annoying. Really well done.
I kind of equate her to a flying tracer. If you get that,
that's a
tracer
really
player.
Yeah,
it's just so hard to deal with, and now you add wings to it. And you have that very similar dive in the backline, assassination capabilities, good protection capabilities, can be anywhere she needs to be at any given moment. I'm excited to see more Echo. I think she's a ton of fun to play personally, but yeah, she can be very impressive. We'll probably see some nerfs coming through on that hero here before too long.
Don't play Reaper. Don't play Reaper against her, because that's a die in about 4 seconds.
Oh, I can only imagine how fast that thing comes out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We saw a big Reaper player earlier this week here at CGL, a cloned Reaper, should I say?
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I think you also have to approach with the your composition. You don't want to give up too much. I mean, going exactly to the point Billy is making. I feel, we're not going to see Reinhardt this week, but you have to be careful of what heroes you bring in on your composition if you see an Echo, because they will absolutely turn that against you.
Yeah, I do actually think that's the aspect of her kit that I think was most likely to be nerfed. Just the general ult charge rate, not necessarily the charge when she's within it, but the rate how quickly she can get it is a little excessive given just how powerful that ability could be. Like you said, I mean, it's really cool to see a hero that does such an effective job of turning another team's strengths against them, but it happens a little too frequently, I think, for it to be entirely what we would like.
That's so true.
Well, and another thing to note is when she comes out of the duplicate form, she's right back at full health. You can get down to 1, hit Y, shatter the whole enemy team because they have no, there's 2 Reinhardt suddenly on the field. And then, he gets whittled down, and she turns back, and she can fly right out, use those cooldowns, and it's back at full health. I mean,
I didn't know that until I killed an Echo that was in ult, and I was like, oh, thank God she's dead. and then she just popped back up. I'm like,
no way! Like,
no, this is horrible.
You killed the facade.
You killed the facade, exactly. Oh my lord.
No. Yeah, no, don't do that.
This matchup, who is she taking this one? Why?
Al 3-2. I think that Jaboy is going to be too much to handle on the Orisa. I think that he anchors the team so well, and the DPS just play around him. And when he decides to go into the line, he's taking people out. So I think I think he carries the match for them.
Yeah, the Cats are putting on a performance. See if they can take it. We got Corbec though. What is this prediction you got for us here?
I said 3-1. I do think that they are a stronger team than they appear, Tardigrade, but I do think that Owl will take it in 3. They're the 3-1 split. I think that it will be a close match throughout. I just don't think that they'll push it through to overtime.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely expect they've got the quality to take at least one map here, so we'll see if they can make that happen. Skate, what you got?
I think it's actually an extremely close match. I think Owl actually just edges out Tardigrade 3-2, and that's on the backs of having scrimmed these guys a couple nights ago, as Corbec alluded to. I saw some things from them that I really liked, and I was very impressed with. For a team that is in this position that they're in, where they're 500 and essentially fighting for their playoff lives, I've gone on record a few different times saying I think 3 losses keeps you out of the Tier 3 playoffs. So at this point, I think this is a must-win. This has got a playoff feel to it, and I will be curious to see what Tardigrade does moving forward in this match. I would not be shocked if they pull the upset.
Yeah, definitely getting to the meat and potatoes of the season, and T3 is not one to be trifled with. Bullskunk, what you got for us?
I went 3-1 Owl. I think Tardigrade will manage to take a map off of him, and it would be the first map loss here for Owl this year in the Tier 3 division. Owl, one of your 7 remaining undefeated teams, but there's only 2 that have perfect map records. So they're one of 2 that have been just completely flawless. I do think Tardigrade will show up, and I think they've got something to prove, and I think they will put up a heck of a fight, and we're in for a good match. And I believe they'll take a map off, but at the end of the day, Owl is going to emerge victorious here.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were saying. I will say also the other side of that, you've got Owl coming off of that bye week, and maybe they're a little bit rusty right coming into this game. So it's an opportunity, especially for that first map, to see if they can get something going. So definitely a lot to be considered. Teams are ready to go, so I'm going to hand it off to our cast. This should be a really solid matchup. We'll see you here at the midway point, so we can get another recap on this match and lead up into our game 2 of Friday Night Overwatch from the Xbox North American Tier 3. Again, really excited for all this content. Should be a really good watch. Guys, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, getting ready to get started here with our first match of the night. So it is T3 Owl versus Galaxy Esports Tardigrade here. The first map will be Busan. We don't obviously know which stage we are going to be going into first, but we're just waiting, I think, for the ready up from both teams here, Skate, before we hop into the lobby.
We're ready to roll.
Ready to roll. It should be an interesting matchup. I mean, you heard our pre-match commentary right there. You got a pretty good idea of what we're looking at. Bullskunk and Billy, they know what they're talking about. Our personal experience playing against this team is lending its helping hand to our analysis as well. What do you think of Busan as a series of stages or as a map, Skate, as we look at our first one here, which is going to be Temple?
I actually think Busan might be my favorite now outside of Lijiang. I think it's my favorite that they've come out with. It plays a lot of different ways. None of these 3 maps play the same. You have various strategies across the 3, so it really kind of stretches what you can do as a team. You need to have that versatility and flexibility and able to have success on Busan.
Yeah, I think one of the key aspects of it, for me at least, is it poses a lot of different situations. There's a lot of horizontal play on certain maps, verticality, a good mixture of wide open spaces and small spaces. Nobody freak out, by the way. We're just testing the pause right there. Don't want that happening. But looking at these lineups, probably nothing too particularly shocking. We don't see any Echo here, and a very different selection in terms of actually pretty much everything, except for the Orisa is the only consistent point.
Yeah, that's what it would appear. I'm interested to see how this double shield holds up on the side of Tardigrade against that pulled pork combo of the Orisa Hog.
Well, moving right onto the drum now is Jaboy there with a little bit of backup from Like a Boss. They're fighting this shield war as best they can, but you'll see that Sigma shield is set way back there on the mid, not really helping anybody. And Light Spaghetti actually the first victim to go down here. Jaboy giving just a little bit of space. You see Dreaded Dula trying to take that opening. Meanwhile, Cooled Spark there on the outside edge, just applying a little bit of DPS pressure, will get XBYC down as well. Cooled Spark getting another one, but the trade's coming back and forth here pretty fast and furious. The Coalescence coming out already from Damoon, though.
I like it.
Might actually flip this fight in favor of Tardigrade here. And sure enough, Chatterbox getting killed on the retreat. It's just the Ash on the outside edge, and Adam is barely going to escape this one, I think, Skate.
Yeah, great patience by both teams, too. Nobody getting overly aggressive, and Cooled Spark kind of let the early picks come to him, and then the quick Coalescence there by, I'm going to say it's Damoon.
Damoon is good for me as well, yeah.
Yeah, all right. That's what we'll go with on that. But it really forced the side of Owl just to kind of back out. There's a lot of pressure with those early Coalescences.
Well, here comes Bob to initiate. Bobbert's out there on the point, clearing just a little bit of space and forcing these shields into a slightly different position. They're still brawling at it, though, so Bobbert will go down, but they have opened it up. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough because Cool Spark unleashing a little bit of die there on the point, and he'll clear the decks. And once more, Tardigrade has driven them back.
Man, I was talking about those DPS in the pregame, and they're living up to their name early on here, as Cooled Spark is just all over this point and just owning that as Reaper. That is his drum. Don't even think about touching it.
Yeah, they're really doing a good job here, Skate, of pulling them into these close range fights, which with the, Ash, you would think they want to play just a little bit more standoffish, but that Roadhog at least is really forcing them to try and get in. And here they come again, actually trying to push up. The Beatdown Bongo is coming out right now, so they've got a lot of damage here to initiate this fight. They're going to unleash the Dragon as well. Why not? Jaboy America cut down in their prime right there. Like a Boss going shortly thereafter, and Adam, the last woman standing, as it were, is brought down. Fennec actually, I think, got picked trying to escape back to the spawn.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the last few fights, the way I've seen him engage, Chatterbox doing a tracer, what tracers do, and just kind of flanking off on their own. But I'm not really seeing a lot of pressure into the backline or anything with the tracer. I gotta question that DPS if maybe they want to swap, although you're close to Pulse Bomb here. One Pulse Bomb can change everything.
Well, the Sigma all coming out early to try and counteract that damage. Bongo just a little bit, but the picks now flowing in on the side of the blue team as they push on. They needed this, and they did invest a lot of ults to take it, though, Skate. They really only have Coalescence in here and a long hold ahead.
Yeah, but it was last fight territory. You kind of invest those ults because you don't get another chance if you lose the fight. So I don't fault them for using them, but it may have just been a little bit of an overcommitment. As we see, Tracer can probably get that Pulse Bomb back pretty quick as she's already up to 75%.
Well, Owl's going to have to dig in their heels here if they want to hold on. Soldier 76 already moving into the center point there. That's Light Spaghetti trying to take a little bit of command of the high ground. The rest of the team rotating around, but Chatterbox is in their back line causing some problems. They'll fend off the Tracer, but not enough. They've actually done a pretty good job of splitting the team as they push up here through the other temple, trying to get around an angle on the drum. Pushing forward with the Sigma Zarya. Now, unfortunately, they lose to Moon early. The res will come in, and now dueling Coalescences being unleashed across the point. The angles are crossing there. Don't cross the streams as it works, but they're in pushing forward. Haven't quite managed to take the point off them yet, though, but 5 bodies to 2 right now. Those numbers shifting all over the place. Die, not as effective as last time, though, and they will start to stack up the kills no matter what. Oh, still, though, the fight really grinding out. They're still fighting this. Great job by Owl trying to stall it out. You see XBYC. What a name. dancing around on top of the drum there before finally having to give up.
And I think that's going to be the first point there, going to the side of Tardigrade. Man, it's an alphabet soup of names tonight.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I want to point out that the Lucio player for Owl is what, XBYC, and then the Mercy player there was, what was it, like YBCMC. So a little bit of confusion.
Yeah, that's my favorite yogurt shop too, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good one. You interested to hear that you have that chain near you as well.
Yeah, the YBCMCs. Yeah.
A little bit. Since when everybody at the party is too drunk to remember the words to YMCA. That's about what you get.
They start dancing the YBCMC. That's what it is.
YBCMC. Anyway, not big changes here. Skate, Soldier sticking in there. That's Spaghetti. Adam coming on the Reaper. Chatterbox on the May. Still kind of the difference in supports here, and it will allow Owl to kind of get an early position to their favorability. They're going to put a lot of damage down choke. Decent May wall coming in. They're not noticing the Mercy hiding on the side. She tries to go in for the res, and it's ballsy for sure. Gets Kamala back in the action. So really nothing lost, nothing gained here, except for the fact that Tardigrade gets the rotation back on the point first. Now they seem to kind of hold this low ground. Oh, Chatterbox going in early is burned down on the May. You hate to see that as Adam tries to get up with their DPS partner. They can't get there in time. And now the kill's starting to chunk in on the side of Tardigrade here. Just a little bit of panic on the point from the folks at Owl. They've given up the high ground to Light and Spaghetti, who actually drops down. And wow, that was actually really well played by Tardigrade. What an excellent rotation down to the low ground.
Yeah, YBCMC, as we mentioned, getting the huge res there. I didn't think they had a chance of getting away with that. Actually gets the res. That actually sets up that back rotation on the side of Tardigrade and actually won them the point as they're going to set up on the high ground. All right, Corbec, I think we have dropped your sound at some point in there.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. It's all good. It happened.
Right?
I wasn't sure if that was just me or not, but
no, we're good. We're good. Let me tell you, though, my dog really impressed. Really liked that last bit of commentary.
Did he? Good, because that was impressive. That was some of your best commentary work yet. And
thank you.
Everybody missed it. That's just
it's more of an avant-garde style release, guy.
Yeah, it really is.
New commentary. It's like something Yoko Ono would have done back in the day. Anyway, out comes the Gravitic Flux early on. It's got a big pickup there. Good drop. Takes Light and Spaghetti out. Dreaded Dula going down to Moon, taken out as well. The res will come in, but I don't think it's going to be enough to save them as Chatterbox Kiwi off on the top there as that Soldier 76 just clears the deck with that great sort of follow-up damage coming in.
Yeah, we've got almost mirrored comps at this point, but with the DPS here, we got Soldier and Reaper on both sides, and a DPS battle has broken out. Everybody has heard me talk about Tardigrade's DPS, and Tier 3 Owl said, oh yeah, let's show you something. We're going to go the same DPS right back at you.
All right, they're back now on the front entrance. The anti-nade comes in, doesn't quite connect with its target, though. They'll force the immortality field early, though. YBCMC switching. Oh, there's the Reaper on the back line. Gets 3. Well done with a little bit of combination of the Gravitic Flux in there as well. And Kamala and Cool Spark combining to just clear the point. The only victim there is Dreaded Dula, and so they will flip the point back.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it looks like ult advantage not in their favor as it favors Tier 3 Owl with both DPS ults coming up, and it looks like that Bongo will be online very quickly. I expect that to come out. Maybe the visor
pushes straight through the doorway there. Not going to get held up at choke. Coalescence coming out early, putting in a ton of pressure here, though. You can see they're trying to get into a good position for that flanking tack visor. Not really as much luck. Oh no, even as I say that, Chatterbox does get one, so they lose the Baptiste early on. All sorts of chaos now as the Gravitic Flux comes down to the point. That'll drop another one. Counterattack visor coming out, but I don't think it's going to be enough from Lighted Spaghetti to hold this one off. You can see the damage coming in, but he really can't get anyone down. The cover really not working to his advantage there at all, and they'll flip it back at 99%. And Skate, they are really going back and forth.
They are, and you got to question that late visor there by Light Spaghetti. You're down 3v6 already, and if there weren't shields, I would say that would be okay. But unfortunately for him, like a boss, just able to zone him out with that Sigma shield. That's where the versatility of that shield. And they don't see the underneath flank.
Underneath, they're not running the spy there, but there's a there's a nano boosted Reaper on the point. Adam says, this is my territory. I will be holding it for the immediate future, and that will result in them taking stage 2.
My word, that was something. I thought that Tardigrade had the jump on him by going low ground there, just in a hurry to get back. Everybody's been in that situation. You rush, you just go underneath. But my word, what a blossom by Atomic.
Well, you know what? That is a flashback to the past there, Skate, with the nano-boosted Reaper. You just don't see that any. That used to be the meta.
Yeah, that shades of Beyblade there.
Yeah, shades of Beyblade. Getting walked out early on. So some swaps coming in here as we move into our final stage of Busan, tied up 1-1 here. Really, XBYC over to the Ana. Adam will be playing the Genji going into here. Light Spaghetti coming in on the Mei, so kind of a built-in Genji counter already. Let's see what they do about it, though. Adam coming across the middle, going to be the first into the point area, but actually Tardigrade already here, already holding up. Owl pushing in from the low ground, struggling just a little bit. Adam trying to get some damage in over the top, but it's not really enough. Jaboy really getting pressured on the front line, will be the first one to go down. Huge dynamite, though. Hits Tardigrade, but they don't care. Adam goes down as well, and that'll shove Owl right back towards their spawn.
Yeah, I would like to see, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some swaps here. It looked like, there it is, right to the Pharah. It looked like initially that Tier 3 Owl was expecting maybe more of a range comp, even maybe like a Soldier or a Widow there going the Genji to try and get the counter, but too brawly on the side of Tardigrade as we see the swap to the Pharah. I like that a little bit more in this matchup.
As Adam over the top now, XBYC on the pocket. Dropping in some damage here. Dreaded Dula and Kamala both kind of rotating underneath here to help out with that. Maywall comes in, but there's not a lot of follow-up on it. They will be able to reassert their defensive position, but the Pharah dropping in low, pumping in the damage on the backside. The Mei overextended again, though. Chatterbox down early in this fight. Coalescence coming out. It's a solid freeze there on Jaboy. The wall blocking the Coalescence beam for half a second. But Adam has got the barrage game. That might be the win condition here for this continued fight.
I think it has to be at this point. As you see the Coalescence there, you could actually pair those together. If you can flank with that barrage and get some backline penetration, then everybody pushes forward on the back of the Coalescence.
Here it comes. Adam once it drops in low. Maywall the block. Well executed, and Cooled Spark takes Adam right out of the fight. The Coalescence coming out now from Owl trying to push forward. They'll throw the Maywall in. Oh, it was a disaster there with the Pharah barrage. Did not go as expected at all. Now they're trying to hold on to the high ground. Good pull there on the Sigma. Unfortunately, Like a Boss can't finish it, or Like a Boss can't finish it off. Valkyrie coming out over the top there. You see that Mei in deep on the backside, but they combo the Hoggle with it. And they'll actually lose him as he gets caught in the counter Mei ult that comes out. Absolute disaster in terms of ult.
Oh, this is bad.
Chatterbox getting burned down as well, and they're not going to have a lot left in the tank once this wraps up.
No, that's what I was just noticing there. Is this is last fight, and we're at 98%. They may not get a recontest here.
Adam, the only one in position, drops the barrage, gets one, but it's too little too late. Oh, man. Tardigrade comes out swinging, Skate, on map 1 and takes Busan.
My word, what a map there. I did not see that coming. The fight just staggered on and staggered on. I think that fight started with about 60%, somewhere in that range left on the, or into the count, and just went all the way through as everybody just kind of staggered in dying there. It was just kind of unfortunate the way everybody died. Usually you see those team fights like that in a brawly comp, everybody just dropped, but not so there for...
Yeah, that was... I mean, honestly, Skate, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, the reason that they lost was because of the bad kind of combinations of their ults. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Pharah dropped it trying to do the barrage, that was a blue Mei wall that went up, right? That wasn't a red Mei wall that blocked it.
That was their own Mei wall. Also,
that was their own Mei wall.
It looked like Pharah was trying to time the drop of where she came in with when she hit the ult. I don't think she wanted to be that low, if I'm going to be honest, because the Reaper was right there on top of it. And with a Reaper, you don't want to really be that low. You just got to question the angle of it. But, you know, all things considered, Tardigrade showing up so far.
They really are, and I mean, I think we saw flashes of that alt combination, or maybe it just kind of stood out in starkness to the. I mean, the other one that stood out to me, just I have to mention it, Owl, when they used Blizzard and then they whole hogged, and the hog pushed the entire like 3 members of the enemy team out of the Blizzard. You know, it's small mistakes, right? And they did obviously take a map there, and there was some very good play when they took that map. You know, the nano boosted Reaper going off was really impressive, but. You got to cut down on the small mistakes, because honestly, Tardigrade not making as many of them, and I think that's the difference here.
Yeah, I think it is. It is a close game so far. It's just like we were talking about in the pregame. This Tardigrade team, the record may show us, you know, a few blemishes, but this is the first real time that we have seen, you know, a blemish so far on Tier 3 Owl this season. This is the first map that they've actually lost.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I didn't even think about that. This is the first map that they've lost all season. It's as weird as it sounds. I mean, especially going into a 2-2 team that's 8-8 on map score, you do have to wonder if this has a little bit of a mental impact here on Owl, right? Right. You've waltzed through 3 weeks of games. You got a bye. Great, good. You come into this and you should be the clear favorites, and certainly all of the casters here put them as clear favorites. And suddenly, little water bears here, or moss piglets, whatever you want to call them, has just kind of given you a bloody nose right out the gate. So definitely, you know, a little bit of locker room talk, I would imagine, having to go on now in that party to get everybody settled and get them back on the field.
Yeah, that's we'll have to see how they respond. You know, it's always curious to see how these teams respond, you know, that first time they get punched in the mouth, as it were. So
very true. You know, as Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I'm just taking a quick look at a map pool here. So we're coming up on our next map, which remind me what it is again, Skate?
Kings Row.
Kings Row, of course, the favorite, the most scripted map in Overwatch history, I imagine. If I was a betting man, I would take that bet. Based on what we saw last map, Skate, what do you think they run coming out here?
I think we see a lot more of this double bunker on the side of Tardigrade. It worked to perfection, and I wouldn't switch off of it. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that Reaper. I would like to see a little bit more of a range DPS if they have one in their lineup. I know from experience with them earlier this week, they do have some Ashe, they've got some Hanzo, they've got some range in there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that, and a little bit more of that Moira, as it is Kings Row, and that's kind of her territory as a healer. As a healing main, I know what she can do on Kings Row, and she can pump them.
You know, it's funny, that has always been her map. I remember even when Moira was introduced, one of the first things she did, they had her in a charity tournament, which was played on Kings Row. And even then, pros were saying, you know, this is a really good map for Moira. The confined spaces, the ability to bounce the orbs. There are some great orb angles on the map as well, as I'm sure you're aware. It really does work to her favor. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't actually see any reason why Tardigrade would want to make any significant changes to how they've been running anything. I think Owl maybe needs to reconsider the Roadhog Orisa strat to a certain extent. I don't know that they were getting big value out of those hooks at all. I mean, they did hit a couple of good ones, but never ones that I felt were super impactful towards turning the course of the fight, which is something that you would want to see.
Yeah, that's definitely what you would want to see in that situation. I'm trying to get the lineups set here for everybody so that we can get into this next map. Just double checking the lineups real quick.
Of course, we didn't see the appearance there of Echo. We did talk about that in our pre-show, whether we would get some Echo play. She was not rolled out here. Maybe that has a little something to do with the fact that both these teams were more than eager to play hit scans as those matches went on, specifically Soldier 76 getting a significant amount of play by both sides across all three stages there on Busan. We also did get a little bit of Ashe action as well. Now, whether or not you want to bring out Echo here on King's Row, obviously not a bad Pharah map, at least until the bitter end. You know, we could see a decent Echo played here if one of these teams want to experiment, and maybe that's the kind of thing that Owl needs to introduce to their rotation. Though I will say that when Skate and I were facing off against Tardigrade earlier this week in our scrim, we did try running Echo a couple of times, and it did not go very well. They did a very good job of shutting it down. So whether or not we actually see Echo come out here, I just don't know. It would almost be a shame if we went 4 maps in this first Friday Night Overwatch with Echo on deck before we see her get in, to be honest. Anyway, just waiting here for the teams to decide on their lineups and get to ready up, and we'll hop in here. You are, of course, watching Console Gaming League Friday Night Overwatch for week 5 of our tournament here, or no, Week 5? Yeah, week 5. Wow, already.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point of the season. 9-week season.
It goes so fast. You get lost sometimes. You know, in quarantine too, I have just lost all track of time. You are watching. It's a human construct, Skate. Let's be honest.
Sure is.
You know, we're watching 2 T3 teams. So this is the Diamond tier of our tournament, Diamond and Low Masters. We have Owl and Tardigrade, and as you can see from the scoreline, Tardigrade there, the underdogs coming into this fight, taking the early sort of upset on our first map, Busan. Now looking ahead to King's Row. After that, it'll be 2CP, Temple of Anubis, followed by Watchpoint Gibraltar, with a possible 5th map at the end, if needed, if these two teams are tied going into it. Looks like we are getting started. Thank God, because I can only fill so much airtime.
You're a pro, though. This is what you do. You're the best at it.
We need like I need like a whiteboard. I need some X's and O's. Can you imagine? I wish we could draw X's and O's.
The old chalkboard. Was it Glenn Beck when he used to be on Fox News and always had that chalkboard he'd be flipping over and that'll
you know, just say some John Madden statements. This team's not winning because they're not getting enough points.
This team's getting more kills, so they're doing better. Thanks, John.
More kills, so they're doing better. Oh boy, I feel like maybe Skate our age is showing, because I referenced Yoko Ono and now I referenced John Madden. I don't know that I'm up with the kids these days, if I'm being honest.
Hey, I made a reference to a '90s R&B song in the pre-show that you know, before we got started. So I feel you on that one.
So the Torbjorn coming out here for the defenders. That's an interesting choice by Owl there. They also be running the Ashe. Salsa Cookie coming in here on the Mercy. USC Infinity will be picking up the Ana. Meanwhile, no big changes on the other side, Skate. Oh, good anti-nade to start, though. Get a little bit of ult charge there for the Ana.
Hadn't really seen one yet. It's nice to see the anti-nade coming into play there.
Whoa, look at this rush around the outside edge, but it's split just a little bit. Reaper on the other side. Gonna have to teleport back to his team, and he certainly does, just to get the group in. Kamala really leading the charge here. They're coming in hard and fast on the defenders, and Owl's just backpedaling into the corner. They can't seem to get a line set up, and they've already taken a tick. They're taking another one. Dreaded Jula getting an early pick. Bubba going in to just try and contest, gets burned down. They get Adam back in, but they have no contest, Skate. What's going on?
No,
they've already lost the point.
Oh, that was a bad miscommunication on the rotation. What actually happened, it looked like Cooled Spark on the Reaper flanked through the hotel, got into the backline, got all up in Adam's face, and actually forced their team to back off back into that back alley and created all the space. So tip of the cap to Cooled Spark for a heads-up play on the flank.
Absolute disaster here coming onto the defense after that first map series on Busan. The last thing you want to see is 5 minutes 20 seconds on the clock, and the pressure not letting up. The valiant Tardigrade really just pushing forward. They're unleashing the dragons as well, because why not? And they get Salsa Cookie on it, and they're continuing to press them. They're rolling the streets phase right now. An absolute disaster here for Owl, who can do nothing but back up. They have to reset their line, Skate.
Yeah, they have to. It's almost like panic mode has induced after losing that first map. We talked about it going into this. How could they respond? As CGO Bubba just makes a play right here to maybe stop the bleeding a little bit.
Coming in, Bob as well. So ults are invested. It was a good play by Bubba, getting right up in there and just pointing those shotguns straight into the face of Dreaded Dula, and that's blown them a little bit of breathing room. But what a savage initial series. It was like 2 minutes of just pure aggression coming out here, Skate.
Yeah, you gotta like the start for Tardigrade right now. Everything is coming up them right now. Tier 3 Al just has to just dig in here a little bit. This is a nice little place that's actually favors the defense, I think, on this little section of the street space. So we'll have to see if they can capitalize and burn some of this clock down.
Ooh, good grab early on there in the fight, but do they have the damage to follow it up? No, not really. They'll chuck the rock back there. Adam getting taken out, unfortunately, in a fight that really should have been in their favor. Coalescence coming in, the Nano Reaper out again. They'll use the sound barrier here. They'll throw in the Death Blossom at the end, but really not a lot of value. I think he might have actually gotten stunned out of it right there. And Bubba gets burned down pretty early on, too. So ults invested, Skate, and very little value out of them.
Yeah, just not a lot happening. I'm not even sure what the play is at this point. I do like CGL Bubba switching over to the Junkrat. That is a very good idea here. Maybe just try and win this tank battle if you can. Just bring the shields down and see if you can expose Kamala here on the Sigma.
Well, YB up on the high ground there on the Lucio looking for a cheeky boop, maybe, but really nobody playing to that. They're giving him a ton of space here, especially the tank line here, just backing up. Oh no, okay, they're baiting him in for the Gravitic Flux, but down comes the Reaper, trying to get up in their business while they're using that counter Gravitic Flux coming out right now. Not a lot of depth to be had on the backside of that. Decent anti going in. That will put a lot of pressure on Dreaded Dula there. Dula forced to back up a little bit. Light Spaghetti will go down. The tanks are still hanging out here for Tardigrade, trying to fight it in. Good anti-nade coming on Kamala. That will signal his end, and the attack will finally be finished off. But look at that time bank, Skate.
Yeah, just an eternity right now. And look at the ult economy right now. 3 online for Tardigrade to the lone Valkyrie of Salsa Cookie for tier 3 Al. We'll have to see. They will have a few come online, so hopefully they don't get too happy as they come online and start spamming the Y button and can take care of those ults.
Well, the pressure coming in, this Orisa Sigma now the switch for Owl to try and hold this front line. There's the Death Blossom in the back. That's USC Infinity and an Adam down early on. Great tire from Bubba, though. Cuts the momentum out of the attack. They'll get the res in on Adam as well, just to really seal the deal. And Bubba absolutely saving his team's bacon.
Oh my, that was a huge tire. That was the biggest tire that probably tier 3 Owl has had all season, as it looks like they were starting to backpedal and everything was just coming up the way of tier 3. I'm sorry, of Tardigrade, but stops the bleeding. We're now down to 3 minutes. A couple more team fights here, and you're starting to talk about a hold here on point 3.
All right, well, they're pushing up again. That Zarya Sigma combo leading the charge. Dreaded Dula and Kamala both getting aggressive here, trying to clear some space. Kicking out to the outside edge is Cooled Spark, trying to give them more room as well. But this Junkrat on the high ground, relatively uncontested. Dragons right down the gut. Oh, grab! And that's a big opening there. The grab does get eaten, but it's not enough maybe to change the course of the fight. No, they'll throw the nano boost here onto Minotaur, who's just gonna secure the entire thing, really chunk out some damage, and Adam with the bomb to just clean up. So another solid hold here by Owl, who seem to have kind of found their legs, Skate.
Yeah, I think the DPS changes is what the biggest change that they had there was switching over to that Junkrat, and CGL Bubba getting all kinds of pressure on the side of Tardigrade. We see a swap over to the Ashe. I was just gonna say, I think we need to swap at least one of these DPS. I'm not sure they had enough shield break going into it, but we see the double shield for both sides coming out now. No more Zarya for the side of Tardigrade.
Well, Bubba has that tire again. YB there with an ult in the bank as well. They'll push forward, and then another hyper-aggressive push. Gravitic Flux comboed with the tire. Tire goes hunting in the back line, finds nobody. Now the Coalescence coming out. Oh, Gravitic Flux on the other side gets no one out of it, though. Kamala couldn't really follow up, but the kills are getting in. Minotaur is down. Swift trying to hold the point right now. There's a Valking Mercy Salsa Cookie trying to keep everybody alive. Light Spaghetti will go down. The Ashes battling each other on the high ground. YB gets up there and clears the Ash out. Great anti-nade, though, onto the main tank and the Moira, and Cooled Spark will go down. And again, by the skin of their teeth, they will hold. Al has not given up the third point.
Still not. It's bend but don't break so far. That is the epitome of it at this point, as far as you can go without breaking. But it looked like there was a couple times where Salsa Cookie and Infinite were actually kind of on an island by themselves, but Cooled Spark distracted by the fact that Sigma's right in front of him just trying to get the kill, and the double pocket was enough to carry the Sigma through and actually swing that fight. So communication there may be on the side of Tier 3 Al going into this.
Solid Dynamite coming out early. Kamala up on the high ground as D.Va, just trying to build a little bit of space for them. Now the Orisa push starts. Moving forward is Dreaded Dula. Kamala taking so much damage early on, though. Oh, in the backline, he's got 2. Cooled Spark with 3. That'll blow the gates of this defense wide open if they can just push this Bob away. And they sure do. Salsa Cookie is down. It's full stall mode here for Owl. They just have to hold on for another 20 seconds. And Swift, making the hero play, drops onto the point. Uses the Gravitic Flux, but dies in the midst of it. Now they have a damage boosted Junkrat out on the point. Really doing work there. The anti-nade hits and it's big. Infinity will go down. A res coming in. Oh, Salsa Cookie doesn't get it off. Now Bob from Light Spaghetti is on. He's clearing the deck. Swift dropping it again on the D.Va. Life Minotaur trying to hold on. Absolute desperate shreds. The last dregs of the team being thrown on. Solid boop there for Dreaded Dula, but still not enough bodies on point. Infinity goes down. They've only got a little bit of ways to go. Salsa Cookie trying to keep it alive. Out comes Atomic. The last one in. Can't quite do it. Bubba here as well. Still, neither of these teams giving up the ball.
Wrecking ball races on the point.
Like angry hamster planets as they just continue to fight. Oh, Skate, it's not ending. It just won't end. It just won't end.
Oh my gosh, everybody's back in. Spawns, I thought they were supposed to get delayed as we...
Here comes Winston, but the ball's still there. The ball's still holding. They can't get Minotaur out of this.
Gotta focus targets here. Oh!
Ball down by the other one. In comes the Death Blossom, but they get the res. Now the sound barrier's in. Infinite, the only one left on the point. And they will finally clear it, but my God, what a stall.
Wow, that was something else there. I don't know how long that match was, or there at the end, but that stall had to go at least a minute there in overtime. My word, just talking about how close they were getting, and all of a sudden it was overtime, and then we get the full stall coming out on the side of Tier 3 Al, and a heck of a job by them, able to get that wrecking ball on the point. Life Minotaur just went full spin and spin to win on that point, and was able to get so much time and actually give the team a chance. There was a time in the middle of that fight where I actually thought they were going to swing it and hold.
Good Lord. Kaplan preserve us. That was something. I tell you what, though, the respawn advantage coming in huge there, and I think where we might say that they fell down a little bit, the attackers, Tardigrade, was that they weren't really doing a very good job of focusing the targets out. You saw a couple of kind of like cheeky reses. Minotaur stayed alive for what was essentially an infinity there on that ball, and I mean, obviously it's a hard target to kill, but really that fight should have been wrapped up a lot earlier than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, we saw that on the push right before, where I talked about how Cooled Spark was kind of focused on, you know, just locked in on that Sigma. So target focus costing Tardigrade maybe here a little bit on the time bank, as they're not going to get another chance unless it goes to overtime. They're under a minute, so we'll have to see if they can full hold here on the defense and try to get this map, or if Tier 3 Owl can even the series here one apiece.
I do quite like the Newton's cradle effect from the two hamsters though when they hit each other. It's very impressive.
Was pretty fun.
And pushing in now, we do see Echo coming out. That'll be Bubba on the Echo, already going up to the high ground, trying to contest the pocketed Ash. Somehow the pocketed Echo winning out a little bit on that one. Dynamite thrown into the last second. A lot of space cleared on the point. Adam trying to push up and take it, but he can't really get too much up there without the support of his tanks. May sneaking in on the backline, freezes Life Minotaur. Life Minotaur responding to the threat. The rest of the team coming in, but Minotaur goes down. Oh, Cooled Spark doing a little bit of cooling there in the backline, and that I think's broken the back of this attack.
Yeah, Cooled Spark is just doing a heck of a job on that DPS creating space. We saw Reaper, and now I think this is the first time we've actually seen him on the May, unless I'm wrong about that. But a nice little job able to isolate that Zarya out and push through the hotel the same way he did on attack. On attack, he came one way through the hotel, and on the defense, he's coming the other way through the hotel. So just look for that hotel. That is Cooled Spark's hotel. It says Alderworth, but that's not the name on that thing right now.
He's bought it. He set it up on the Monopoly board. You can't stop it.
Yes, he built a hotel.
Switch trying to push forward. Adam really trying to play that back flank. Can't get a lot out of it, though. They've got Cooled Spark slightly overextended on the outside edge, but they can't really make it stick. Ooh, good Blizzard there.
Paired with
and that'll completely counteract that nano-boosted Reaper that was trying to push up. Adam probably pounding his desk just a little bit right now, as Infinity and then Swift are cleaned up on the backside.
Yeah, I think Cooled Spark just wanted to make a liar out of me about that hotel. I talked it up, and next thing you know, he's on the left side where the attackers spawn next. So just really controlling that play, playing side to side. So you don't want to be too predictable about that. So that's just a heads-up play to know to switch back and forth on the sides there. We'll have to see which side Cooled Spark decides to isolate this time, as Tardigrade has 4 ults going into this fight.
Oh, Cooled Spark has out early. In comes the Gravitic Flux, grab at the same time. Neither team getting a ton of value out of those ults. Cooled Spark res dies again. Light Spaghetti going down. Both DPS outs. Bubba takes a little bit too long with the tire there, and Bob will destroy it. Bob on the point, fighting hard though. Will disappear eventually, and I think they finally picked this particular lock, Skate, but it took some back and forth there for sure.
It really did. It was a bit of a struggle, but they were able to find their groove on that third push, and we saw CGL Bubba actually push in through the back line and separate the same way that Cooled Spark did on that Reaper on the first push. So the DPS making plays happen to try and open things up for their teams as we see that with these Sigma comps, they just kind of run into each other and just kind of butt heads, and you don't really get the pushes on that tank line. So it really is up to the DPS to try and force the issue there.
Yeah, they're both fighting. They're both playing very aggressive Sigma comps, aren't they, with those Zaryas? Kind of using Sigma almost as a stand-in Reinhardt a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, he can move his shield around. He's one of the only other tank that can move his shield around like that, so why not?
Grab Anti coming in big there. Unfortunately, Dreaded Dula will go down. Kamala's there as well. At least I should say unfortunately for Tardigrade, who are running for the hills here. Cooled Spark, I think, just accepting his fate, letting that death overwhelm him. And they've done a really good job of clearing out this street phase. So not perhaps as aggressive as the attack that came out of Tardigrade, but still very effective, Skate.
Yeah, it was a great combination of ults there, too. Able to, well, it wasn't even truly a combination of ults, I guess. It was just the comboed with the anti-nade there, and we saw SW, CFT, or as I would like to say, Swift in there making plays.
Light Spaghetti gets destroyed up there on the high ground, and then they'll lose Kamala as well. The Coalescence coming in now, trying to help them hold on. Gravitic Flux coming out, not a lot of luck with that one, but YBMC or CMC down in the back line. Dreaded Dula going down as well. Here comes Adam, smashing his way forward on that Reaper again, and we've seen some great Reaper plays coming out of that particular individual.
Oh my, it just we've seen a lot of Reaper tonight. I honestly did not see that coming with these tank lineups. I thought we'd see a lot of double shield with range DPS with it, more of a bunker style, but these are brawly. These teams really want to go at each other tonight.
Well, there needs to be a 3-minute hold here, and you see Adam with the Death Blossom on the high ground. He wants it so bad. He's got Kamala up there as well. YBCMC gets up on the high ground for a brief second. Can't do much with it. Again, looking for the Death Blossom. Is the Reaper on the outside? He's pushing in now. He has to go for it if he wants it. You can tell he does. The barrage comes in on the backside, but not a lot of joy out of that one either. Adam doesn't even need the Death Blossom. He's just killing away with the shotguns, and they're pushing right through. What a great grab to end the stall. And Owl making a bit of a statement right there, Skate.
Yeah, just coming right through the factory there at the end of King's Row. 2:46, I think that said, left on the time bank. So that's what they'll have to actually win this map. And like we said, that stall is what ended up costing Tardigrade another chance at this attack. They do not get a chance. So it's either a win for Tier 3 out, or we will have a draw if they can hold for 2:46 here.
Wow, that's a turn of events. That's a turn of events indeed. That long hold at the end there on their defense must have really energized them, because they got blitzed by Tardigrade in the opening seconds, but now Owl somehow ends up on top and in control.
Yeah, it was 4.5 minutes, I think, on the streets phase there when Tier 3 Owl won that first defense, and then Tardigrade pushed right through after that defense and had over 4 minutes to go into the stage 3, and then it ends up getting capped in overtime. So yeah, that time bank definitely playing in there. That's why you got to be heads up on it and make sure you're making those plays, because yes, you did get the third, but you got to defend in order to get that extra chance.
You sure do. Well, looking at the lineups, not a lot of changes really. No Echo being played. Straight to business with Ada, Atomic, and Bubba here. No fooling around.
See what we got here.
Out they come hard and fast. Swift taking up that point. Life Minotaur there. Oh, caught in a trap and burned out though. Oh, where have I seen Life Minotaur dying first to Zarya before? I feel like we saw that last time. A little bit of deja vu right there, and they'll shove him right back out the front.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I like the Zarya Sigma coming in here, but that being said, you do have 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Oh,
goodbye, Light Spaghetti. Adam, the carry. Look at this man go. Bubba coming in now, too. Both the DPS popping off, and they're closing in from the backside. It's like a pack of wolves just descending on a bunch of innocent sheep. Right go. Point. And now, Tardigrade loses, and Owl takes map 2.
Oh my, we're in for a good one, folks. This is Friday Night Fights for you. We've got a heavyweight fight. These two tier 3 teams are just going at each other, trading blows. We see Tardigrade get that first map win and then come in with all the momentum and almost running right through King's Row, getting stopped on the defense. Now the momentum is back on the side of tier 3 Owl, and now it's halftime to reset.
Indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute banger of a match here, tied 1-1. Can the underdogs Tardigrade regain a little bit of the magic they had on the first map and their first attack here on King's Row, or will Owl, the favorites, manage to hold on? Do stay tuned. We'll be right back with the answers to those questions and more after this interview. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back here to Friday Night Overwatch. And we've been watching quite a match here between Galaxy Esports Tardigrade and T3 Owl. They've been brawling it out here. Busan, kind of a surprising win for Tardigrade there. Owl clawing it back on King's Row after getting absolutely blitzed on an early attack. They dug in their heels, held out for, what was it, Skate? Almost 4 minutes there
yeah,
on the end of King's Row to keep it going.
Like it was I think it was over 4 minutes. I don't think it ever got to 5 minutes on that third point because of the defense able to stop one time in the streets phase. But yeah, it was an eternity, and anybody that's ever defended King's Row knows that's a long time to hold that point.
Yeah. No joking about it. I mean, it was a spectacular hold, and they had a great stall game at the end too. That was what ultimately burned it down into overtime. And they came out and they put together a really well executed sort of clinical attack. Skate. It did not have, I would say, just the pure sort of rampant energy that the attack from Tardigrade did, but you definitely felt like Owl knew what they were doing. They had a game plan and they executed it. Their tanks did a spectacular job of taking space. And really, their DPS were absolutely huge.
Yeah, the DPS play from both sides has been absolutely phenomenal so far. They're the ones that have been creating the space. These tanks seem very, very even right now. They've kind of just been butting heads and just kind of pushing off of each other. They've both been the immovable object, and it's been the DPS getting in the backline and making the flanks that have been the difference so far.
Yeah, it's true. I think that these teams are very evenly matched, and I predicted a 3-1 win here for Owl. You predicted a 3-2 win for Owl, and I'm beginning to think you might be on the right track, Skate. I do actually think these teams could go into overtime, assuming Tardigrade does not feel a little bit kind of boomed coming off of King's Row, for lack of a better word, because I think that was a little bit of a heartbreaker for them to get into that last point and then be stalled out for 4 minutes is frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah, and coming into it, on the defense, you're really frustrated going into it. We've been there where you have a bad round and it kind of carries over into that next round, and you got to wonder how much of that happened. But I don't think it was for the side of this tier 3, or I'm sorry, this tardigrade team, as we saw them hold 2 different times there on that initial push, as we saw the DPS of Cooled Spark get a couple picks on that Mei early on, but then gets picked early. So that's what ended up leading to that push on the side of tier 3 Owl. The DPS is where it's at right now.
It really is, actually, more so than I think some of the other games we've covered on Friday Night Overwatch. I feel like the DPS making huge plays tonight on both sides of the ball. I think Cooled Spark has been absolutely critical for his team's success. Both Bubba OG and who was it? He's been subbed out. Adam. I was gonna say Adam Atomic. He was popping off as well, and they've actually subbed him out here. And it looks like they're bringing in XBYC as maybe their DPS spot, which is kind of interesting because earlier we saw XBYC, but he was playing support.
Yes, XBYC was on the Lucio earlier, so some people are flexible and they play those different positions. So we'll have to see what this is, and the way the roster was given to me that Infinite and Salsa will be in those support slots. So this will be interesting to see. Maybe they've got a little trick up their sleeve for Anubis on this.
Yeah, maybe there's some sort of strat that we're not aware of, or something. Maybe there's a
DPS that they are very familiar with.
Or maybe is he a robot? is that what you're hitting at? Is he
I'm not saying robot? He's not a robot.
is he a boxy looking robot? Well, Temple of Anubis, of course, is our next map, so that 2CP much reviled, much loved in equal measure by different people. Hard, always hard. We had Mazza in here last week, and boy, he does not like 2CP.
Big fan, huge fan.
Big fan of 2CP. What was he saying? You should have asked Jeff Kaplan. It's like one of his big regrets is asking.
He never asked Jeff Kaplan about.
He never asked Jeff Kaplan. After that, we'll be going to Watchpoint Gibraltar. So a pure payload map there to finish us off. And then, of course, if everything goes that way, I do believe the last map is Ilios. Yep. So, another sort of King of the Hill map to end it there. If they are tied, which, like we said, it could be a possibility. Temple, though, is an interesting map. The first map ever introduced to the game. Plenty of kind of defensive strategies. What one were you were just hinting at one in particular, I think?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. So we'll have to see here what comes out as tier 3. I'll be attacking first as soon as I get the ready up from the captains. Just waiting on one of the other captains to give me the ready up, and then we will go in. But Temple of Anubis is one of those maps where that stall comes into play, just like it does at the end of King's Row, where the spawn advantage is so massive for the defending team. And you've got a couple different ways that you can actually come in, just like on King's Row, where the teams will kind of split as they come back to recontest the point. And that's what makes it even more frustrating, because you can't really block both ways at the same time.
No, you certainly can't. And it offers up, I guess, some interesting opportunities here. A lot of is going to depend on rotations as well. Just seeing the way the teams kind of move around and what works best for them. Bastion, Symmetra, we see that a lot. This is a very good Pharah map as well. It also can actually be, from a personal experience, it can be quite a good Echo map as well, if she's played correctly.
Yeah, her flying ability allows her to be able to get some very unique flanks on this map. So this is a chance where maybe we could see an Echo come out. I don't know for sure, but we saw a hint of one earlier on King's Row. So maybe we'll see a little bit here on Anubis.
Yeah, they did try and run an Echo there for a brief amount of time. Didn't get a lot of value out of it. They switched off of it pretty quickly. Again, they ran face first into that damage boosted Ashe, and I think they just, decided maybe the giant flying white target wasn't the best thing to run into the woman who does have the skeet shooting skin. So they reeled that one back in pretty fast. But I think we could see her again, and frankly, I don't it might simply be the fact, Skate, that not enough teams really have gotten an experience with Echo to the point where they're comfortable running her.
Yeah, and I think that's the case. She's just not been out long enough to matter. And then what's actually interesting is she's on the ban list for, I say she's, you know, it's a robot. It's a, but I realized as I was saying that didn't really make much sense. But ban next week is Echo, so not a lot of time to really work with Echo in the next week. So we're gonna see probably 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think people are really gonna have a good grasp on her almost until playoffs.
Indeed. Well, let's see what we got here in the tank coming out on this particular map. Bubba actually going to be coming out on the Symmetra, so an attack Symmetra there. XBYC coming out on the Reaper. So again, was playing a Lucio earlier on, now switched over into that damage role. Meanwhile, on the attack, or on the defense gate, I don't really see anything particularly shocking here in terms of their setup.
No, nothing yet. Nothing of note, as it were. Pretty standard with the BAP and the as I bang my elbow on my desk here, the BAP and the Merc, and then we see the double shield. Just a very standard kind of setup here on the side of Tardigrade.
Indeed. I mean, it is already the Junkrat spam coming down the pipe here, trying to just put a little bit of pressure in. That teleporter is going to be huge, and they have to use it quite well. You can see them rotating around to the inside already, but that is kind of Junkrat's playground out there. He's going to throw a bit of damage in. I don't think they quite did it, though. They baited him and went back to the point, but look at the boop from that mine. Throws him all over the place, and Bubba gets picked off early on. High ground control is forfeited almost immediately. The Ash actually drops down into the cubby hole there and starts shooting across. And they're caught in an absolutely brutal crossfire and straight up melted, Skate, except for this Reaper who's still hanging on.
Yeah, he's able to heal himself, and I think that's the only thing keeping him alive on the point, right? But we saw a nice little rotation by YBCMC as I believe YBCMC and the Light Spaghetti's Ash were set up on that high ground anyways and able to rotate around and get a quick pick and actually make it a 6v5. And that's what actually helped them hold that point after that very, very nice teleporter by Bubba.
Well, here comes the push again. So they're teleporting one more time. This one's going to take them around the backside. This is the classic sim teleport route here that they're kind of taking, dropping down, getting up on the high ground, so vesting high ground control almost immediately. Now they'll drop back down on the front side, but again, a great boop there. Separates them just a little bit and is causing problems all over the place. The immortality field is out. Here comes the window as well to just boost the damage. Oh, the Reaper's in the back line, Bubba's in the front. They're stuck, trapped. They're still fighting this out. Light Spaghetti getting a kill. They're trying to hold on here, but Tardigrade feeling the pressure. The Nano Boost coming in on the Sigma, though, and he'll push up right past the window, but the Gravitic Flux coming from the other Sigma throws him back down, and I think Tardigrade held. Wow.
Yeah, that was a little bit a little sloppy at times, as we just had guys all over the point, players just everywhere, up, down, left, and right, and somehow Tardigrade was able to put together enough picks to swing that fight. I really thought initially the way Tier 3 Owl came in there that they had the advantage, but great job for Tardigrade, able to dig in a little bit here and hold as we are now approaching a minute and a half, 90 seconds left in this attack.
Well, they've given up now on the Symmetra. They're going with an Echo instead. Bubba getting up on the high ground already, but they've lost XBYC in the gap, and that's real bad for them right now because they're running out of time here as well. The res will come in, so they did get the Reaper back in the fight. Now they're starting to push forward. Good Gravitic Flux has got at least 3. Drops them down. Excellent anti-nade, but look at that immortality field. Oh, not enough to keep them alive. Now the pressure's coming in hard, and they'll throw in the die there on the end. Cool Spark still fighting, though. The res does come in to get Dreaded Duel a backup on that Sigma. And somehow, Skate, they've held on again.
Yeah, Light Spaghetti.
Magicians. This is crazy.
My word. Light Spaghetti playing sharpshooter on that Ash. Almost like a Widowmaker. Everybody as they came on to the point. And then we had Damoon come in there and actually get a res late that actually ended up helping hold that point. So big props to the support play right now on the side of Tardigrade.
I mean, this is amazing. Like, they should not be successful.
No, this should not be working right now. It is.
Oh, Bubba goes down early in the choke. Light Spaghetti popping off on the Ash. Oh, no. And that stopped the attack dead in its tracks. I don't think Salsa... No, there's the res.
Oh, this is big.
So they'll drop the tire. My BPT gets a big tire on the backside. They've got a Nano Monkey trying to fight it on point, but he's rocked in midair. Now they'll throw in the Bob as well. And Tardigrade will only give up 1 tick mark on the first point.
45.4%, basically a full hold there. It's essentially the same thing right there, having the 1 tick. So, wow, what a defense by Tardigrade. We've got this match is awesome. I can't get enough of this. Back and forth. This is close.
I am just flabbergasted. That was crazy. I feel like there were multiple fights there they should have lost. Like there was no good reason why they should survive. It was almost like Owl got a little caught up with their own hype, or their own excitement of getting those early picks, and then they just weren't able to finish those fights. And somehow Tardigrade, just really clever positioning and some great Ash play on the high ground from Light Spaghetti, they just held on each time. Also credit, there were some huge reses in there as well.
Absolutely. The support play has been phenomenal for both sides, really, for the most part, because a lot of these picks have been very quick. It's not been guys being dragged down. The healers are doing a tremendous job tonight. They're the the unsung heroes, as it were. It's not flashy, but it's honest work, as it were. And we saw Light Spaghetti just my word, a force on that Ash on the high ground, like you said. And that was really the difference, I think. The play of Light Spaghetti is what kind of held that team together for Tardigrade, kind of putting the team on his back.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a lot to pick apart there with a more microscopic lens, but not a big ask here on the side of the attackers. They've got 4 minutes to get a little over a tick. We'll see what kind of defense can be mustered against them right now. They'll throw in an anti-nade early on, actually gets 2, but they can't really follow it up with a pick. Bubba trying to shut down that corridor, does a great job of doing that. The dive over the top there, drops in, displaces a couple, but they'll lose YBC early on. And then Dreaded Doula goes down. So this dive really not producing in these early stages, Skate, as they're kind of separated one by one and picked off.
No, it's a great job by Tier 3 Owl just to kind of collect together and not allow that dive to work with any efficiency. Everybody got dove on that initial choke point that every team seems to hold here on Temple of Anubis, and then everybody on that team rotated back on point and stayed on top of each other, not allowing that dive to single anyone out. So just great comms and rotation there on the side of Tier 3 Owl.
Indeed. Well, now they're holding the position again. This forward defense so common here. Light Spaghetti switching, or is on that Sombra. Going to try and generate EMP as quickly as possible, but they lose my BBT early on. Light Spaghetti goes down as well. Bubba on the Junkrat doing huge work here. Basically cuts the push out from underneath them, and they kind of try and push forward with Escape, but it's half-hearted at most.
Yeah, I think it's time to abandon this dive. I don't think that's the answer when you're diving into this lineup right now. This double shield with the Junkrat is just too much. I don't think you can dive into it. And now the ult advantage, huge on the side of Tier 3 Owl.
Almost
but it looks
6.
Like, yeah, Tardigrade gonna give it one more shot here since they're so close on ult. So we'll have to see if they got anything in the bank. And remember, they do need to get at least a tick. Tier 3 Owl can win this with a full hold.
Well, Tardigrade has the ultimates. They're waiting so long. Here they come, jumping in. They don't really have any ults to counter what's about to be delivered with them. And that tire up over the top early on. Hunting for a target. Doesn't get one. Dreaded Doula will go down, but they lose Bubba early. Diva Bomb coming in over the backside. Gets one. That's Salsa Cookie out of the fight. This is winnable. Light Spaghetti on the high ground, chunking in damage from the top side. The Diva comes in early on, trying to section off the healers. Can they get the odd on the outside? No, they're slept. Damoon and YBCMC gets taken down, and Tardigrade will get thrown back out with 1:30 on the clock. Of course, there's going to be a huge stagger here on Cold Spark as well.
The difference maker in that fight was USC Infinite on that Ana. That Ana play was filthy as we saw the team of Tardigrade start to flank onto XBYC and Infinite. Huge anti-nade to get to, and then the sleep there at the end to solidify that fight. They were on an island where the Ana and the Ash, the Ana and the Ash, and they were able to get out of it based on that play.
Well, the peak of joy and now the valley of despair here for the attackers. Tardigrade rotating hard around the outside, just trying to get in. They have some ultimates they could use, but stuffed up here in the choke. They'll throw in the sound earlier on. Bob coming out to try and disrupt the attack. The beatdown bongo gets nowhere. Bubba will go down early. Light Spaghetti trading back on the other side. Now it's Dreaded Dula on the point, trying to hold out. Here comes my BBT, dropping the ultimate, gets one, but he's brought down almost immediately. Dreaded Dula will go down, and they're shown the door again. Skate, this is madness.
Yes, and the clock is ticking here. 13 seconds and counting for Tardigrade to be able to get back in touch. It looks like they're scrambling to try and get a contest here after we saw some great Ash play on the side of Tier 3 out. Now, this has been an Ash
Moon and Light Spaghetti, you're both down. I don't think they're going to get someone to touch. No, at the last second, the touch comes in, but they have no one else there. YBCMC, the only one who can get in, is stalled from going. They'll lose Dreaded Duel on the outside edge. Lucio drops in at the last second. In comes Diva as well, but the stagger is too big. They can't overcome it. There's only one person who can touch the Moon on the Moira. Anti-nated immediately. Light Spaghetti goes down. And victory from the jaws of defeat here. Owl pulls it back and holds, full holds to win Anubis.
I don't know what I just saw. I mean, I know we just saw a full hold by both teams, but we saw a full hold on both sides with a winner coming out of that. Tier 3 Owl rallying the troops and able to solidify their lead in this match, now going up 2-1, taking the lead. We'll have to see if Tardigrade can answer here. It's do or die time now in this match.
Good Lord. I mean, you don't see that very often. We never even saw the Temple of Anubis.
No, we never got to see the temple. We drove by.
We never even got to see the temple. We never even got through the front door. You know, they were closed, quarantined. Really good.
Yeah, you know how it is. Like, you know, it's like that everywhere.
Definitely the Doomfist not respecting social distancing.
No, he does not. Doomfist does not care about social distancing.
Anyway, what a map that was. So Tardigrade losing out there despite an excellent hold on the defense. Owl will take the map. We're going into our fourth map now, what could be the final map here. It will be Watchpoint Bolter. If somehow Tardigrade manages to win here and tie this up at 2-2, they will go to Ilios for the decider.
Correct. That is the decider map is Ilios, but we got to get through this last one first here. Now, we did see a little bit of dive on the side of Tardigrade going into that Temple of Anubis attack. I think it's very likely we can see, yeah, a little too much.
If we're being honest, a little too much dive.
Long. But I think we may see it again here on Watchpoint.
Kind of throwing themselves there on that dive, I think just a little too long. The ult advantage so significantly against them. Even if they had switched off the dive, I think they still would have experienced a lot of difficulty clawing that one back. But really, I mean, it was not working. And there's something to be said for having a plan and sticking to it, but there has to be a point where you have to change this. You have to change tacks. And I mean, if you're jumping in and you're just getting devastated by a Junkrat, which was happening basically every time they made a move, do you swap off? Now we see Smallchild 76 coming in one of the support slots, a very strong Ana player. We can speak to that one from experience. So maybe a little bit of new life being injected here into the lineup might be enough to kind of turn the tide. No real swaps coming out of Tardigrade yet, though. We're still working on them.
Still waiting to get
that. Sultan, for your gifted subs in the chat, much appreciated. Thank you for the one you gifted me yesterday.
What a pal.
I appreciate what a pal, what a guy. I appreciate that very much. We thank you. And of course, for all of those who have followed us during the course of the stream, thank you so much for your follows. We don't have, constant follower announcements, but we do appreciate your continued support. So exciting stuff on the way for you here as we move into Watchpoint Gibraltar. An interesting map to say the least. Skate, very vertical, as you said. Dive, always interesting here, always a good look, or it used to be until dive became kind of no longer the flavor of the month, but this was a popular dive map. Gibraltar itself, kind of a map that demands a lot of vertical play. You literally cannot avoid it. There are just high grounds all over the place.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I think this is actually a map that will be very good for Echo moving forward. I think Echo has the ability to get up and really manipulate that high ground, so we may see a little bit more.
You're right. Actually, I think that's a spectacularly good point. I mean, the Echo can get up on pretty much everywhere here, right up on top of the spaceship relatively easily, or the shuttle, whatever you want to call it. Really can dominate the high ground, can take that left flank on third point up and over, to come in on the backside. Really good stuff there. So Owl has to be riding a little bit of a high. Tardigrade probably has to be a little disappointed, but I think if anything, Tardigrade has demonstrated, I think they demonstrated on that last map, Skate, that they do a good job of pushing themselves back in. Okay, they do a good job of it.
Yeah, they definitely do. Sorry, I got a little distracted there trying to get all this in because I got basically a whole different lineup here for Tier 3 Al.
You want me to just talk about Gibraltar?
You can talk about it's an island, right? Is that what
there's a big joke on Gibraltar, actually. This is like a weird thing in Overwatch. There's a giant joke here because there are monkeys that live on the island of Gibraltar. They have rock apes on Gibraltar, which is why it's funny that funny that Winston, a monkey, or a giant ape, lives on Gibraltar. He's like an actual Gibraltar rock ape. Yeah, it's like a really weird little obscure joke, and I'm sure there's somebody in the Blizzard headquarters who just kind of leaned back. It was like, get it? Like all this, what was going on?
Yeah, get it, Gibraltar. Haha.
Get it, Gibraltar. There's a monkey. They have those.
See? That is pretty funny.
And it's weird. It's a weird little tidbit of Overwatch lore there, as it were. Overwatch kind of meta. I don't know what we want to call that, but mixing real life and your science fiction fantasy for you there.
Absolutely. That's what makes it believable.
Oh yeah, that's what makes
that's what it is.
The giant space ape never really broke anybody's frame of reference.
But he stays on Gibraltar. Oh, okay.
Well, they do have monkeys there, so
a lot of memories in this place.
All right, let's get a look at what they're running here on the lineups. Attackers coming out, so with the Reaper and the May. It's an interesting setup, Skate, because we were just talking about verticality. There literally is none in that attacking composition, except I get Reaper teleport. That's about it.
Yeah, Reaper teleport is really it. But I'll be interested to see if they just use Light Spaghetti's wall here to maybe separate and create some space around those tanks and just deny some area of attack for.
Well, that was a nasty out. They need to start. Got at least 2 or 3 of them in on that one as they begin to push the card forward here, losing the shield early on. They need to rotate in under this high ground. Great boop! Excellent boop early on, but an even better anti-nade back to counter the hard push. The walls up. But Dreaded Dula goes down first. No Small Child and Lucio, the 2 supports, coming in big there for this early stage, completely disrupting the defense. And Owl is reeling from that initial displacement.
Yeah, that wall by Light Spaghetti was massive, as it looked like Tier 3 Owl got the ante off, but couldn't actually engage because they needed to back up. There was too much pressure and there was nowhere to go as Tardigrade just kind of put the pedal to the metal and just dove in.
Well, one push attempt here. They're not giving it up without a fight, but USC Infinity going down early on. Chatterbox out as well. Small Child is lost, but it's definitely not enough. Ooh, good res coming in. Gets Chatterbox back in, but Salsa Cookie goes down. They're playing without supports now. Ow! Oh, no, they're popping the tack visor. Oh, they'll throw the sound barrier out to counter it. He's frozen as well. Goodbye, Chatterbox. Bob's there to try and hold on. Now the
Bob actually contesting.
Jumping on, and they might just hold this one out.
No!
Absolute and Antsy, they'll throw the Blizzard in as well.
I like the Blizzard.
They want it so bad. Swift getting follow. They can't follow up on the kill. XBYC will go down. Now comes Jaboy into hold. Swift and Jaboy both trying to hold on. Chatterbox coming out on the Torb gets one pick. Still alive. Still hold on. And Flux comes in. They'll throw the die in on the top of it, and they finally break through. Absolute madness at the end of point number 1.
I can't describe what we just saw. That's one of those where you almost stop and watch because you can't describe what is happening. We saw a huge stagger there on tier 3. Owl able to get in there and just keep contesting one at a time, and then all of a sudden Tardigrade was down to 3 people on point, and we see Swift get a gravitic flux, kill 2, and then all of a sudden it swings back the other way with the Blizzards. I can't fathom what just happened. Huge
anti-nade coming in, but Swift is separated off and anti'd himself. Oh, but XBYC making it count there, combining that anti-nade with some Dynamite for some huge kills, and that'll break the back of this attack to be sure. There's still a little bit of fighting, Skate, but it's really just cleanup duty. And XBYC, the one who cleans it up.
Absolutely. XBYC had like 5 picks, I think, in that team fight. Holy cow. Calm down. Woo! Tardigrade would like to play the game as well, but
yeah, nice he's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, not missing anything right now. That's very impressive. As we see Bob back online for XBYC as well. Here.
Chatterbox and Salsa Cookie up there on the high ground. Out comes the beatdown bongo kind of early. Good initiation of the fight. They're going to push forward through the shields. Decent anti-nade coming in. They'll have to invest a lot here to get Dreaded Dula out of this. Dreaded Dula backs up. That shield not quite stopping the bomb gun. Oh no, it did by slim margins, but MYBT will go down in the back. And now they're starting to push forward again. Good gravitic flux over the top. They've got absolutely nothing for that. There goes Small Child, YBCMC taken down as well. Dreaded Dula can't do anything, and it's push over.
Yeah, absolutely. I really thought Tardigrade was going to win that because they had the initial 5v4 there going into that fight, but there's no quit in this tier 3 Owl team. We saw them get punched in the face earlier when they lost the first map and then kind of got rolled a little bit at the beginning of Kings Row, but they've definitely rallied. They've proven that they can take a punch so far.
Yeah, no, you're very right. The never give up, never surrender illustrated in full. Taking a really long time to regroup for this attack, to be honest. Skate, a couple of swaps, I think, coming in, but this is time wasted.
Yeah, but you want to make sure you've got the right ones so you can get a push or two with those comps. So it does behoove you to take that extra 5 to 10 seconds and just make sure you get the right comp that you want.
BBT's got the blade. They've got USC Infinity under a lot of pressure. Genji's waiting to hold it, though. Won't go. Jaboy, Infinity, Chatterbox all go down in rapid succession. And now Tardigrade is pushing forward. They don't even need to use the blade. What a dry run there on the defense.
Yeah, they came in from the defender's high left and just dropped in on top and just split the team. Jaboy was in the back line, essentially, of Tardigrade's push. Somehow got separated by the wall and then was dead to rights. Great little use.
Nano Boost coming in, Blizzard as well. Nano Tack in the back line doing a decent job there, but the kill's not going the way of the defenders at all. And Tardigrade smashing through after a brief moment. So yeah, Skate, I guess that long prep time for the attack made all the difference.
Yeah, make sure you get it right. I've always been a big fan of that. Take the extra 5 to 10 seconds. Make sure you have everybody you want and everybody knows the spots where you need to go. It's worth it in the long run, but I think this Tardigrade team, they're a team of momentum, it seems. They get going and they just roll. Everything snowballs for them. So it's very curious to see if they can keep this rolling and get a bit of a time bank here at the end of this third point.
It's really like it's like a boulder.
Yeah, it just starts going.
You know, until it hits, I guess, a bigger boulder. I'm not really sure, but yeah. Good dynamite there on the outside. They still have ults in the bank if they want to use them. Gravitic Flux again. These have been great Gravitic Fluxes from Swift, and they'll lose Light Spaghetti early on. I think that probably signals the end of the attack there with the David Mac going down as well. Not really sure what Mai is doing up there, but he'll run out as well. Guess he just wanted that final deflect because he could.
Yeah, why not? You're already up there. You might as well do it while you're here before. But Yeah, nice little reset here. You do have plenty of time, no reason to panic, and the side of Tier 3 Owl able to stop that momentum, and this is a nice little spot to hold. This is a harder point for the attack than it is for the defense right here at this corner.
All right, here they come, pushing forward. High ground contest already up, so they've divested XBYC, goes down early. Both the Ys getting taken out. Diva Bomb over the back, that could be big. Oh, he's got 2! And the beatdown Bongo as well. They'll invest the nano on the other side, but look at that anti-nade. Oh my lord! Jaboy, with the help of USC Infinity, holds the front line. Amazing play between the Ana and the Rissa. Absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, able to just go and create that pressure up front and essentially push into Tardigrade's backline after that Diva Bomb came out. I thought that was going to be the end because the shields had already been used in front of that, and half the team was back behind those shields. But wow, what a play!
Oh no, YBCMC goes down early. They still have this blade.
Time in a row.
They've got Nano Blade in the pocket, but they just can't get the opening they need to use it. Still taking a very slow approach.
Yeah, the positioning here is the difference, I think. As the push comes in, they all just stack and form this nice cohesive unit where we see the side of Tardigrade trying to attack right now. Everybody's scattering, everybody's splintering, and I don't think that's the way you can attack this.
Oh no, small child going
they might not get another contest
out as well. The right way. They've had this Nano Blade in the pocket for forever. Now my BBT has to get on point, but he's got no health. He's brought down. Gravitic Flux coming out. Now they'll push forward. Tardigrade collapsing at the end. They'll throw in the Nano Boost early on. It's Boostio. No. You hate to see it because Chatterbox and XBYC just gonna combine and clear the decks. Oh, there's the blade, but that's way too little too late.
That's about 3 minutes too late, I think, on that blade. At least 2 minutes too late, we'll put it that way. Unfortunate. You hate to see it. You just
can't hold on.
You start to wonder about YBCMC and his positioning coming into those fights, as he was able to get picked twice. 2 times in a row, 2 fights, he was the first one picked, and you kind of needed that speed to get everybody around and just kind of dive in with that Nano Blade. That's just really unfortunate that they weren't able to get that combo off, because I don't know that Tier 3 Owl had an answer for that blade.
You know what? No, Skate, I don't think they did, which kind of makes it almost, I mean, it's criminal that they held on to it for as long as they did. They had that blade from inside the hangar, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
My BBT had that blade
because they had all those early picks there in that second point. So right there at the end, everybody was kind of staggering in for Tier 3 Owl. There's no point that they wisely held on to that ult, but they were just not able to really get a 6v6 and pop that blade. They were down a man in every single one of those fights on the third point.
No, I just, it's tragic. I mean, like, that Tardigrade had, I think, everything in their corner going into that. They could have won. They had the momentum. They had the ults, and just the failure to deploy them is what cost them that point.
It's really that simple. And if it turns out that Tardigrade can't hold this and win this map, they're going to have to look back on that third point push and see what is going on. You know, like, how did we mess that up? How did we not get that off? So they'll be kicking themselves.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and kick themselves a little bit as well.
You hate to see it.
So Fiara coming in over the top. They do have the damage boosted Ash, I think, partly there to counter that. Amazing anti-nade again, and they have been really strong coming out from USC Infinity. He has actually won them, I think, one of the crucial defensive tight fights on the back of that. But XBYC on this far are more than happy to capitalize, and they're just going to smash through this initial high ground defense, Skate.
And wisely, the few surviving members of Tardigrade just falling back to regroup and try to take this fight at the top of the hill when the rest of the team spawns in. But this dive right now by Tier 3 Owl, whew, that was impressive on that push. Just able to get 2 or 3 quick picks and just win that fight before it really started.
Oh, Jaboy just got destroyed, though. Up there on the monkey looking for a cheeky pick. Absolutely wrecked. They'll lose Dreaded Dula and YBCMC, though, early on. They can't get the res off either. Great play by Swift to deny it. And again, a fight maybe that should have gone Tardigrade's way is just thrown into retrograde, dare I say it.
Oh, wow.
All over here. No, they're still fighting. They're still fighting.
They're still there.
The monkey's back in now, though, and they still have the Mercy up, but the respawn advantage is telling right here. Now, we've seen a situation just like this. Can they hold them off? Jaboy trying to fight, and look at that nano, or that bomb dropped right in the middle of everything. But Dreaded Jula and MyBBT getting the picks. Gravitic Flux coming, poor Winston's body ragdolling all through the air, and they will hold the defense. But whew, that was about a heartbeat away from disaster there, Skate.
It really was, but you know, Cooled Spark was able to get that big pocket. Small child who just came into this game recently, able to pocket Cooled Spark, keep him up the entire time on that Sigma, and keep that point contested, allowing the entire team to come back. That you love to see it, the Mercy flying around and making things happen. When you're the attacker there and that Mercy is flying around, that's the most frustrating thing, trying to pick her off and get her out of the way.
Well, here we go again, playing a bit of an interesting defense here. Not quite the server room, not really an option. Good good nano on the Winston. Yeah, it was a solid rock there, but the kill's coming in early. No, XYBC. Oh, I'll never get those letters right. Close enough to get 2 on the barrage. Oh, it was a great play by the Pharah, and basically just clean up duty for the rest of the squad now as they'll push forward. It was a good use of the nanoed monkey, almost as kind of a distraction, Skate, to open up the opportunity for that Pharah to come in over the top and do her thing.
Yeah, and what's also interesting to note, Tardigrade, because they had that long delay stall that they ended up winning at the end of point 1, actually able to eat up quite a bit of that clock, as we're now down to 3.5 minutes here on this second point. They were able to chew up almost an extra minute because of how long that fight actually took.
Well, they're on the dreaded hangar now, and keep in mind the verticality very much here for the attackers, not so much on the side of Tardigrade. We're going to throw Bob into the back line here when the tanks peel off. Bob does get slept, though, so great moves there by Infinity to get that in, but it's too late for Salsa Cookie and XBYC, who both go down. Dreaded Jula res back into the fight. Really, it's just Jaboy trying to be good, gets the nano boost, maybe he can slightly turn it around here. Electrified monkey in the back, but it's
the electric monkey
blasted out. The old electric monkey sounds like a dance move from the 70s. Not gonna lie,
it might be. I'm not gonna say it's not. I'm next. All right, I need people to submit their clips of them doing the electric monkey. That's what I want to see.
Monkey. I bet if we looked into it, we'll find it somewhere. You know, it was popular in the, like, I don't know, dance clubs of Stockholm in 1971 or something. You know, that sort of thing.
The discotheque.
The discotheques, yeah. Chatterbox goes down early, so they've lost any pressure from the Tracer in the back line. Pure slugfest on the front side as the TAC visor comes out behind them from Light Spaghetti. He might not be getting tons of picks with it, but he's causing tons of disruption in the back line. XBYC goes down. Boy, USC Infinite, they cannot hold together in a great split. Great use of the ult there, Skate.
Yeah, and like you said, that TAC visor, it doesn't get a lot of kills, but being a support main myself, I can tell you when I hear that voice, I'm trembling in fear and scrambling to hide. It is one of the best zoning ults in the game. You have to respect that visor.
Yeah, you do. You have to respect it. You really do. And that's a great execution of it. It's not always as impactful as it could be, but they drew off resources and they drew off, you know, just focus there.
Still on the point alone here.
The Tardigrade defense kind of rolling back, giving up a lot of space. They've lost their high ground control, which they were using to great value here. Without the dive really splitting these tanks, it's a lot harder for them to hold. Bob going in early, little bit of an overshoot. There was a bit of a boop as well, swept almost immediately, but Chatterbox Kiwi going down early again. He will get res, but there's a great dynamite over the backside. Now Bob's awake and firing. Coalescence coming in now as well, putting the pressure on the front line. Swift trying to push up, trying to buy a little bit of room for his Orisa Jaboy, but Jaboy's backing up. USC Infinity hiding in a corner, and this is really an extended fight between these two double shield compositions. Out comes both Sigma shielders, and good Fox over the top. That might be the breaker on MyBBT going down early on. The counter flux comes out of the backside. Isn't as successful though. MyBBT is res back in. Nobody dying. Even as I say that though, Cool Spark will go down. But the kills are treated back and forth. Only 30 seconds left on the clock. Light Spaghetti goes down. They're holding out. The tank's going in, but they get nano. Oh no! Huge anti. And the TAC visor as well, and they will clear the point there, Skate.
Yeah, tier 3 Owl got in the push, and I really thought it was second got the prophetic flux, but it looked like there was one on the other side, by the way. And the fight really didn't get decided until Jaboy came in with that huge bongo. Abel in the backline, there was nowhere for Tardigrade to actually hide, and making great use of that. I think there were 4 assists from that bongo on that push.
Well, 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock to turn this to overtime. It's do or die time here for Tardigrade. The brave little water bears that almost could. Out comes Bob. Good knockback there. Bob is slept, but he's woken back up almost immediately. Getting all sorts of rocked is Bobbert in the back line, but he did a great job of stalling them out. 1 minute left here on the defense. They have some ults. They need to use them. Bob coming out of the backside. He's grabbed back. That was well done. Tackvisor over the backside. Salsa Cookie goes down early. Chatterbox gets a pick on the other side, but now comes the beatdown bongo. Will it be enough? The Nano Boost coming in on Jaboy. The kills stacking. Victory. They backed off, Skate.
Oh,
they backed off. And T3
far away.
Owl wins.
Oh no!
I can't even believe it.
Oh,
what
no.
Heartbreak for Tardigrade.
This map. Oh, Tardigrade, just don't rewatch this map. Just throw this out. You can watch the rest of it. Just throw this one out because you hate to see it. That's a heartbreaker on the side of Tardigrade. First, the nano blade that got missed on the attack, and then to not really get set up in the right position, giving up too much ground on that third point. They were so close to pulling the upset. Like you said, the little ball water bears that could, they were right there. They had this thing in the bag, and they let them off the hook.
Yeah, it's tragic. Actually tragic. I mean, that was so close at the end there, and they just gave up a little bit of space, but all credit to the folks from T3 Owl. It did not look good for them out the gate, but they wrenched it back and they made it count, Skate.
My word, what a series. That was a fun one.
That was a fun one.
I hope you guys had as much fun watching that as I did. I know Chef Billy usually stays in the video here, and it loves watching my reactions because you guys can't see him on camera, you know. But I'm very gesturous with all the calls. So
yeah, fair enough. I think we're gonna go back to our desk now. We're gonna do a short break, and then we'll be back to the desk, and we can hear what Billy and Bullskunk have to say about that comment.